So Letitia James might have said the quiet part out loud. So let me ask you guys a question. If you're under a federal investigation for mortgage fraud, would you go on TV and say the exact thing the feds are accusing you of lying about? What do you guys think? Was it a slip up? Was it a straight up confession? Or really, you guys agree that this is just a big smear campaign against Letitia James? Let me know in the comments below, because that's exactly what Letitia James did. In my opinion, one sentence, just one, might have handed prosecutors all the ammo they need. We're gonna watch this clip together, and then after that, we'll break it down piece by piece. This interview from Chris Haynes on MSNBC. He has a podcast called Why Is This Happening?
I will respond to these baseless allegations at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way, but I am 100% confident that it will not result in any criminal indictment or action against me, and that it is nothing more than a revenge tour, and that Donald Trump just ultimately got to the J's, and I was next.
She seems like she says that in every interview. Like, that's the one line she keeps repeating, that Trump got to the J's. It'd be nice if she had more lines. Like, you know, if you're going to spit this out over and over again, maybe you'll have some more different types of things to say instead of saying the same thing over and over again, but whatever.
The key allegation, again, it sounds like you don't want to address them here, but I'm just going to put it out so people understand that a property that was owned in Virginia, and a mortgage that you signed, if I'm not mistaken, for that property, that they say you falsely represented yourself as a resident of Virginia, and that was essentially amounts to mortgage fraud since you're a resident of New York. What is your response to that?
It's baseless. Everybody knows I'm a resident of New York, specifically Brooklyn. And again, we will respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate way to these baseless allegations.
But if you wanted to get a judgment about someone, you could. And what do you say to that in terms of what the facts actually bore out about the way that Donald Trump, particularly, and his company was conducting its business?
So his investigation, he exaggerated. Let me emphasize that. Exaggerated the value of his assets to the tune of millions and millions, and was able to secure favorable insurance and interest rates. As opposed to, and I'm sure Chris will probably get to this, they're claiming that I engaged in mortgage fraud, that I somehow decided that I was a resident of Virginia, which would be some commute every morning to the office at 28 Liberty, that somehow, I should be held to the same standard as Donald Trump. But somehow what I did was basically similar to what Donald Trump engaged in. And there's just no comparison. The allegations against me are totally baseless. And again, it was based on a 2-year investigation of his assets. And that judgment was issued by a Supreme Court justice.
So there it is. She says it like there's no big deal, like the one sentence doesn't contradict the entire basis of her mortgage. Because the problem isn't where she lives, it's where she claimed to live on her mortgage paperwork. So let's be clear, the feds are accusing Letitia James of falsifying documents when she said that her Virginia house was her primary residence, all to get better mortgage terms. But now she's saying on camera that she lives in Brooklyn. That's the smoking gun. That's the sentence that undercuts her entire defense. Because if Brooklyn is home, then your Virginia property wasn't your primary property, which means you lied on your loan paperwork. And that is called mortgage fraud. This is not some technicality. This is not a misstep or a mistake on paperwork. Primary residence determines everything: interest rates, insurance, loan approval, and even what programs you qualify for. Claiming a property as your owner-occupied primary residence, when it's not, can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest over a life of a loan. I repeat that, hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest over a life of a loan. And that's exactly what Letitia James is being accused of doing. And to make matters worse, and remember, she's also allegedly misrepresented her Brooklyn property, a 5-unit building, as a 4-unit one. Why? Because the moment a property hits 5 units, it is no longer qualified for certain owner-occupied benefits and falls under commercial or investment property rules. That's a major financial incentive to lie. You can't tell the public I'm a Brooklyn girl when you're telling the bank, I swear I live in Virginia. One of those is a lie. And if it's on a mortgage application, that is a felony. And the wild part, this wasn't an ambush interview. This was a sit-down recorded interview. Interesting enough, Letitia James has been on numerous interviews with partisan-friendly media outlets since the allegations dropped. Normally, if you're under federal investigation, you have to go quiet. You can't talk unless your lawyer tells you to, because you may say the wrong thing and land you in some serious trouble. But the problem is with Letitia, she is in an elected position that changes the game. She's trying to defend herself, but you can tell she's trying to reshape the narrative. She still wants to look strong and aggressive, like she's going toe-to-toe with Trump and the conservatives. And the tension that needs to look tough while protecting yourself legally is risky. So when she casually says, everyone knows I live in Brooklyn, that's not just making conversation. She's potentially handing the feds a soundbite that can be used in court. To us regular folks, that might just sound harmless. But for prosecutors that have evidence of her signing something that's saying, hey, my residence is in Virginia, that could be gold. That clip can now be Exhibit A. It shows intent. She didn't misspeak. She reaffirmed clearly and confidently that she lives in Brooklyn, which completely contradicts the mortgage paperwork when she signed Virginia was her primary residence. This is not a PR problem. This is a legal problem, a federal problem. The same person who's prosecuted other people for doing the exact same thing. She went after landlords with open violations. She charged people for tax dodging, deed fraud, and falsifying documents. So when she pulls the same moves and says this is baseless allegations, it hits different. You can't be the face of law and order and then cry foul when the system taps at your door. That's not justice. That's just being a big hypocrite. Look, she may not have meant to say that, but the sentence right there is a gift to the prosecution. She publicly contradicted her entire claim that she used to get that mortgage. Now she's out here acting like she could just lawyer her way out of it. I don't think so. I think the damage is done. And I think if she wasn't the AG, she'd probably be already facing charges like everyone else. Us regular folks rely on a mortgage application. We go to jail. We don't get interviews. And speaking of interviews, let's talk about the one that she just did right here. Why didn't he press harder? Well, you kind of know why, because he is a left-leaning journalist, so why would they do that? But if you got the New York Attorney General in front of you, accused of federal-level mortgage fraud, shouldn't the obvious follow-up questions be like, did you sign your paperwork claim that you live in Virginia? Can you explain the difference between legal documents and what you're saying now? If this is a smear campaign, why not release the mortgage forms to clear the air? Did you personally fill out the documents, or was they handled by someone else? Chris had the shot to ask the questions the public actually cares about, but he didn't take it. Maybe because it's a friendly outlet, maybe because it's a PR favor. Either way, it's disappointed, because when you've been accused of something, their serious softball questions aren't just lazy, they're dangerous. They let the powerful people dodge accountability while pretending to answer for their actions. If the roles were reversed and this was a Republican AG, that interview would have been a courtroom. Instead, Letitia got the talk show couch treatment, and the rest of us are left asking the hard questions. But seriously, what do you guys think about the situation? Do you think Letitia James accidentally admitted guilt? Or you just think this is just some talking points, some media noise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.